Sometimes Google SEO can feel a bit of a waste of time because you've applied some of the things you've learned in previous videos and you've then found that it's not really made any impact at all on your business. So that's because Google's changed recently. So Google Business Profile and its SEO requires a different way of thinking. In fact, Google is looking for signals of, are you keeping your business up to date? Are you reacting immediately when Google asks for some information? Remember, an active business will rank higher. So this first tip is going to be my most important tip, one that you can do right this moment. James Clear says that by changing an atomic habit, a small habit, it can have a lifetime of impact ahead of you. If something's invisible, then it's very hard to keep going as a habit. So how can you make something visible to make it an everyday routine? Well, you'll notice Google has this new page that comes up when you search for your business. So how can you make it so that you check it each day without even thinking? Make it an atomic habit, as it were. Well, of course, you need to make it visible. You need to make it easier. So if you're using Google Chrome, then there's a simple way to do this. You just go into the settings and then you just say use this page, or you might add it to a number of pages that will automatically open when you open the Google Chrome browser. Why do that? Well, it means every time going forward now, you're just going to take a quick 2-second glance to see, is there anything that needs updating in your business? And as soon as you respond to it, so you put an offer in, you respond to a reply, Google then gets the signal and you will then rank higher. So it's as simple as that. Very easy habit to form, one that you don't have to do. It's like just responding to an email in effect. And if you want to know how to clear those boxes, then there's a video that I'll put in the links down below that will show you how to do that. Now for my second tip, what do you do if you get a bad review? Let's face it, bad reviews are out there. Well, there's a few things you need to do and there's a few things that you shouldn't do. Now at this stage, the biggest mistake is to reply to it. That doesn't mean you shouldn't reply to it, but at this stage you shouldn't do so. And if they're not a customer, then they're actually violating the terms that Google's put there for reviews. And so that's the point. You need to report it to Google as a violation. Now, if you want to know how to do that, and if you want to know how long to allow for that to get a response out of Google, I recently had this situation which I've monitored for you. So a bit later in the video, I'll reveal to you what happened and how long I had to wait before it is removed. Now, for my next tip is, how do you handle things if you're not a shop front? So when you register your business initially, it asks whether or not you have a shop front or whether you're a service. But the confusion's been that Google's changed this a few times in the past. In fact, there are now 3 ways in which you can establish your business within Google and Google Maps. And if you're not aware of what those 3 areas are, then when you register your business, you'll find it will be quite confusing. So what are the 3 things you need to be aware of? Well, your business is either a shop, a service, or a hybrid service. So what's a shop? A shop is where you have a business at a physical location where customers can visit it. What's a service? Well, that's where you have a business that visits or delivers to customers outside of that business address. So like plumbers, maybe cleaners, they would be a service. But what's a hybrid service? As it sounds, where it's between the two, where you can have customers, but you also do go out and do orders. So for example, you might be a takeaway and you do food, so people can go to you for food, but they can also, you do deliveries, and so you serve customers in an area. And so the idea is you have a physical address on the map, but you also cover an area as well for your service. That's a hybrid service. So being aware of those 3 things is going to help you when you register your business, or it may mean that you need to go back in and make a few changes. Now, I did do a video on whether you're a service or a shop and how to register it, so look out for that video. Again, I'll put a link to it down below. Now, some businesses seem to have extra information in their listing, and this was brought out to me by another question that I was given, where the person said, why is it then that this business has this extra bit of information? Where's it coming from? How do I put that on my business? So you have to do a little bit of research here, but you'll notice that if I copy and paste that information, if you do a search in Google, you'll notice that Pointy comes up, a website called Pointy. And if I click on that, you'll notice it takes me through to a shop that's actually using the Balloon Saloons shop, and you notice there it's got that tagline. So what's this all about? Well, if you don't know what Pointy is a way in which you can sell products through Google online. Now, if you don't know anything about Pointy and you're selling products, then you need to look at this. So I'll put a video here that explains a few tips about Pointy and a few other tips as well that you're going to enjoy. So make sure you visit that in a moment. Now, another tip about photos I just wanted to talk about, putting a particular type of photo up. How do you know what Google's going to reward? And she gave an example. She said, if I'm, say, a life insurance broker, then any suggestions on what type of photos I should add, because it can be perhaps a difficult choice to make. Well, my advice has always been for any business is to first of all have a look on Google Images and see what happens, what comes up when you do that search. If I do a search for life insurance broker, what actually comes up? What high quality photos are being shown? And then on top of that, go to some royalty-free websites. And you're not going to take or purchase these, but what you're going to do is get an idea as to what keywords they're using and what types of photos they're using. So I'd probably go to something like iStock Photo or Pixabay or Big Stock Photo. And if I now search there, these are highly tuned algorithms. This will give some inspiration as to what types of things the images are going to portray if I type in, say, for example, life insurance broker. So you notice amongst these photos I'm looking at, I can see mainly people, I can see trust, I can see paperwork, I can see happiness, I can see honesty. But what you then do is you want to kind of mimic these. You want to have real photos of your business, but with these types of photos in mind. And of course, a focus on the subject in particular. And then that will then provide Google, the algorithm, with useful images that are unique to your business and that are in line with what the algorithm is looking for when it comes to that type of business. And that will work for any type of business. So whatever your business is, just follow the same process as what I've done there. Now, another tip is to try and understand the difference between local SEO and international or national SEO. So for example, if you've got a business and it's in, say, LA, but you serve the whole of America, one of the questions was raised was, is it right then to have Google Business Profile when it's only on a local basis? The thing is your website itself and SEO in general, so your keyword optimization for your website using titles, alt tags, your links in and your links out, all those things, so standard old good old-fashioned SEO, that helps on a national basis. I would recommend you still register a local business, even if it's national, but at the same time you're establishing authenticity and honesty and trust within Google. Now, you'll know from my channel that I often speak about EAT, and if you don't know what EAT is, then you need to watch this video. So head over to there in a moment. And EAT is all about expertise, authority, and trustworthiness. So this will help in that sense. Now, a question from Local Business Ranking Booster. He said this. He asked if he was setting up a website for, say, Frank the Painter, then what type of domain name should he use? Should he have, say, painterfrank.co.uk or painter-frank.co.uk? You can't have capitals, but do you use a hyphen? Well, it has an advantage and a disadvantage. The advantage is it keeps both the words separate. So that's quite good from a keyword point of view because it will stand out clearer. But the chances are that someone may forget to put the hyphen in. Of course, if you have the domain with a hyphen and you don't put the hyphen in, then it could be then that goes to someone else. In the past, I've generally bought both. I've bought the hyphen version as well as the main one, and then I've redirected one to the other and had one as the main domain name. And that's a bit of a conundrum really, because if you don't have both, then you run the chances that someone's going to forget whether it's a hyphen or not. Now, of course, Google sells domain names and they are pretty good value. So if you want to know more about that, I'll put a link down below as to how you can register your domain name. And actually that then can integrate into your Google Business Profile with your free website. So I can show you how to do that on a future video if you haven't seen that. And so finally, what about that bad review? How long did it take to get rid of it? I reported it because it broke violations 24th of April at 5:07, and in under 20 hours it was removed. So on Monday the 25th at 1:37 it was removed by Google, and that was pretty straightforward. Why? Because I followed the right process. As most business owners get this wrong and they respond to a bad review straight away, and that causes more problems than it's worth. So for a video that shows you how to do it, how to report it correctly, and to follow the right process, you need to head over to this video now, and that will show you exactly what you can do without the complications.